Over here, stranger.
Capcom announced Resident Evil 4 Remake, and I am personally very excited for this, after probably being the biggest naysayer when it came to remaking Resident Evil 4. They took what I thought was an already perfect game, and they gave us a trailer that made me realize, maybe Resident Evil 4 wasn't the perfect game that I thought it was originally. The trailer that we saw was a complete reimagining of the environment and the overall atmosphere of what they're trying to do when it comes to Resident Evil 4, which honestly makes me excited. I'm kind of looking forward to a more scary take on Resident Evil 4, but I do have some things from the original that I don't think are all that perfect that I would like to see change in the upcoming remake. Now, this is just speculation and things that I would like to see, so this may vary. Here are the 5 things on my personal list of things that I would like to see in Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 1, Ashley. Oh, Ashley. Some fans hate her, some fans love her, other fans are like, do we really need to bring back this companion? Well, I think yes. A, I personally loved Ashley. B, I think they didn't do enough with her in Resident Evil 4. In Resident Evil 4, originally, she was the damsel in distress, very helpless, and mostly just kind of served to get in the way most of the time. But some of her parts in the game, like her playable section where you do not have any weapons and you have to escape, although it is a very short segment, I think that is one of the most fun parts of Resident Evil 4. I love the atmosphere, the terror of not being able to shoot something after you've basically been able to gun down every single enemy in your path. That's a very dynamic change. I would love for them to expand on that, make Ashley more playable so we can experience more parts of the game where you have to take over her and you're vulnerable. I loved that, and I would like to see more of that. I would also like to see more of her in the story so that her character be more interesting than just the damsel in distress. Resident Evil has always had strong female protagonists. It would be nice to see her added to that roster. Number 2, the Merchant. Now, obviously, we know the Merchant is going to be in Resident Evil 4 Remake. They would be insane not to include him. Now, what I would like them to do with the Merchant is expand on his character. I enjoy that he's a mysterious hooded fellow that helps us out on our journey, but look at the Duke in Resident Evil Village. His presence in the story, I think, added to the game. It added to the mystery of it, and it never really delved deeper into his character. I personally would love to see the Merchant be a part of the storyline, incorporated into cutscenes. Maybe he can explain a little bit about the village backstory. I would love to see the Merchant take on what the Duke was to Resident Evil Village. Plus, it's canon that they know each other.
What are you buying? Just something an old friend of mine used to say.
Number 3, the amount of content. Now, the original Resident Evil 4 had a lot of extra content. You had unlockable extra weapons. You had the New Game Plus to experience new costumes. You had Assignment Ada. You had the Great Mercenaries minigame. You had all of this extra content that really added huge amounts of replayability. Resident Evil 4 was amazing when it came to replay value, and I hope not only do they bring it all back for the remake, I hope they bring some new stuff too. One of the biggest criticisms of the past 2 Resident Evil remakes is how Capcom has handled content. Resident Evil 4 had a lot of content, but it also removed some core elements from the game, which left a bad taste in some people's mouths with the A-B scenarios for Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3, I'm not going to get into that, but if you know, you know. I don't want them to fumble the ball again, like those previous titles. Great games in their own right, but don't take away content from the original game, Capcom. Number 4. This is one of my major complaints of Resident Evil 4 originally. It is also the complaint of many fans of Resident Evil 4, and that is the island segment. Now, the island segment is not bad, in my opinion. It has bad parts, and it has bad pacing, but it is not per se bad. Therefore, I really hope Capcom completely revamps the final section of the game. As much as 13-year-old Matt liked Mike, do we really need a segment where it's basically just a run and gun that completely throws out the Resident Evil formula in exchange for fast-paced shooting? I don't think that scene is necessarily important. There are certain things like the regenerator, which I would not want them anywhere else with all of their nightmare-inducing terror. But I really hope Capcom sits down and really revamps that section of the game, because that is where I think the game kind of unravels a little bit in terms of pacing. Again, still a great segment. There's definite room to improve that, though. Number 5. My number 5 is the dialogue. Now, hold on. Resident Evil 4 has some great dialogue.
Only one very important question. You got a smoke?
Got gum.
And there's some other dialogue that has not aged that well.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
So, I would like Capcom to compromise so we still get all of Leon's cheesy lines. I just hope that they rework them to match the darker, serious tone that is the previous 2 remakes. Much like they did Resident Evil 1's remake of such classic lines like Jill Sandwich. The remake was able to incorporate much of the original bad dialogue and made it more palatable to the listeners, so you can take it more seriously. It didn't take you out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll be disappointed if I don't hear about Salazar's left hand coming off. But there's room for improvement, Capcom. We've come a long way since 2005. We can work on the dialogue a little bit. Not that Resident Evil is a safe haven for storytelling. Now, of course, this does completely depend on how grounded versus how wacky that they plan to go with the storyline like the original Resident Evil 4. So, it may vary. But I'm looking forward to the more serious, level-headed Leon from Resident Evil 2 versus John Wick Leon from the original Resident Evil 4. And so, these are my top 5 things that I want to see from Resident Evil 4 Remake. Coming out March 2023. Now, obviously, this is my list. This is just my personal bugaboos for probably my favorite game of all time. Now, you'll probably have different things that you want to see from the remake, or things you don't want to see, or you might even hate the idea of a Resident Evil 4 Remake. And that's okay. Let me know. Comment down below and tell me what things you want to see from it, or things you don't want to see. What would you change about Resident Evil 4? Let's have a discussion about it. I personally look forward to the remake, and I will be giving Capcom lots of my money. Thank you for watching. If you agree, disagree, comment below. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, leave a dislike, whichever you prefer. I don't mind. And I will be back with another video soon. Thank you very much.